To understand The Great Gatsby, you have to imagine the world of 1922. It was a time of frantic, glittering excess, where the old rules of society were being shredded by new wealth and the frantic energy of the jazz age. We see this world through the eyes of Nick Carraway, a young man from the Midwest who moves to Long Island to get into the Bond business. He finds himself living in West Egg, a place for the new money crowd, people who have made their fortunes quickly and spend them loudly. Right next door to Nick is a colossal, mysterious mansion owned by Jay Gatsby. Gatsby is a man of legend in his own time. He throws massive, decadent weekend parties where hundreds of strangers dance and drink, yet almost no one actually knows who he is or where his money comes from. While Nick settles into this strange new life, he spends time in East Egg, the more established, old money enclave. This is where his cousin, Daisy Buchanan, lives. Daisy is beautiful, charming, and seemingly perfect, but she is married to Tom Buchanan, a man who is physically imposing, immensely wealthy, and deeply aggressive. Through the Buchanans, we get our first real taste of the moral decay hidden behind the silk curtains of the upper class. We see Tom's blatant infidelity with Myrtle Wilson, a woman living in the Valley of Ashes, a desolate, grey industrial wasteland that sits between the glittering suburbs and the city. The Valley of Ashes is a place where the waste of the rich literally settles on the poor, and it serves as a constant reminder of the human cost of this era's prosperity. As the summer progresses, the mystery of Jay Gatsby begins to unravel. Nick meets Jordan Baker, a cynical socialite, who reveals a secret: Gatsby and Daisy had a passionate, intense romance in 1917, just before Gatsby went to war. It turns out that Gatsby's entire persona, his mansion, his parties, his very name, is a carefully constructed performance designed for one purpose: to win Daisy back. He has spent 5 years building a kingdom just to attract her attention. Nick eventually facilitates a reunion between them, a tense and awkward tea where the man Gatsby has become meets the woman he has spent half a decade dreaming about. But as they meet, the dream starts to crack. Gatsby's attempt to use his wealth to recreate the past is met with the reality of Daisy's life with Tom. We also learn the truth about Gatsby himself. He wasn't born into wealth, he was born James Gatz, a poor boy from North Dakota who reinvented himself after meeting a wealthy man named Dan Cody. Gatsby's life is a testament to the idea that you can become anyone if you have enough willpower and enough money. But it also suggests that such a transformation might be a hollow one. The tension reaches a breaking point on a sweltering, suffocating afternoon at the Buchanans. The heat is almost a character in itself, pressing down on the characters as they gather. A confrontation erupts where Gatsby demands the impossible. He wants Daisy to look Tom in the eye and tell him she never loved him. He wants to erase the last 5 years as if they never happened. But Daisy cannot do it. She is caught between the idealized, romantic version of Gatsby and the stable, albeit flawed, reality of the life she has built with Tom. The tragedy moves from the drawing rooms to the road. On the drive back from the city, Daisy is driving Gatsby's bright yellow car when she accidentally strikes and kills Myrtle Wilson. In a moment of pure, frantic instinct, Daisy doesn't stop. She keeps driving, leaving the mess behind. This is where the carelessness of the elite becomes fatal. Tom Buchanan, sensing an opportunity to protect his own interests and fueled by a misplaced sense of vengeance, directs a grieving and broken George Wilson toward Gatsby. Wilson, believing Gatsby was both the driver who killed his wife and her lover, tracks Gatsby to his estate. While Gatsby is waiting in the moonlight for a phone call from Daisy that will never come, Wilson finds him by his swimming pool and shoots him dead before taking his own life. The aftermath is a study in emptiness. The people who attended Gatsby's parties, the people who drank his liquor and danced in his gardens, vanish when the music stops. Daisy and Tom simply retreat into their wealth, fleeing the area to avoid any accountability for the lives they've disrupted. Gatsby's funeral is a lonely, quiet affair, attended only by Nick, Gatsby's father, and a few peripheral acquaintances who had once used him for his hospitality. Nick, disillusioned by the cruelty and superficiality of the East, decides to return to the Midwest, realizing that the glittering world he entered was nothing more than a beautiful, hollow illusion. When we look back at the story, so much of it hinges on the symbols Fitzgerald used to paint this picture. The most famous is the green light at the end of Daisy's dock. To Gatsby, that light was everything. It was the physical manifestation of his goal, a beacon of hope that he could reach across the water and reclaim the past. But the tragedy of Gatsby is the tragedy of the human condition. the tendency to chase a receding future, a dream that is always just out of reach, because it is based on a version of reality that no longer exists. There is also the rigid divide between East Egg and West Egg. This isn't just about how much money you have, it's about how you got it. The old money of East Egg is characterized by a certain cynicism and a sense of entitlement that allows them to be destructive without feeling guilt. They are the people who smash things up and then retreat back into their money or their vast carelessness. The new money of West Egg, represented by Gatsby, is performative and loud, driven by a desperate need to prove one's worth. Gatsby thought he could bridge this gap with sheer force of will and wealth, but he learned that the social hierarchy is much more guarded and much more cruel than he ever imagined. The Valley of Ashes and the eyes of Dr. T. Jekyllberg, the fading billboard that overlooks the wasteland, add a layer of spiritual decay to the story. In a world obsessed with material success and the pursuit of pleasure, the traditional moral compass seems to have vanished. The Valley of Ashes is where the consequences of the Jazz Age are buried, and the silent, staring eyes of the billboard suggest a world where God has been replaced by a commercial advertisement, watching the chaos unfold without intervening. Ultimately, the book is a critique of the American dream. We often talk about the dream as something inherently good, the idea that anyone can rise from nothing through hard work. But Fitzgerald shows us the dark side of that ambition. He shows how the pursuit of that dream can lead to a total loss of self, where people become nothing more than the illusions they have created. Gatsby's tragedy isn't that he failed to achieve his goal, but that his goal was fundamentally flawed. He tried to turn a human being, Daisy, into a trophy of his success, and he tried to turn time itself into something he could control. In the end, Nick Carraway's final reflection captures the essence of the entire struggle. He realizes that we are all, in some way, like Gatsby. We are all trying to row against the current, pushing forward into a future that is constantly being pulled back by the weight of our own histories. We think we are moving towards something new, but we are often just being borne back, ceaselessly, into the past.